Hey, 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 everybody. Happy new and beautiful day. Happy Sunday. Hope that everyone is having an amazing day. I am so delighted and excited to be here in this beautiful space of the now moment. It is amazing. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day too as well. I'm going to go ahead and send this out. Let's see, just a second. I'll go ahead and put this out there. Hi, T-Love. Hey, beautiful. Gratitude for your presence. Thank you for the divinely tuning in to my frequency. And yes, and indeed, happy new day to you. I'm so grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Let me go ahead and, let me see. Get this out here really quickly. Now that you came right on in, so I don't even have to send one to you. I was just about to go ahead and put this out for the publication, for public consumption. I'm not going to put too much out there for, because it's for the few. The few and the true. 1, 4. Let's see. All right. Go ahead and do that. All right. There we go. Well, hello there, beautiful. Thank you for being here, and gratitude for your presence. I am so grateful. Well, these are my lives that I do here on Instagram. So, they're a little bit unorthodox. They're not as structured and as organized. But nevertheless, I do love being in this space, abstractly so. And I'm so grateful to be here and be able to be myself and my authentic self. So, whatever this title may say here on the live, after I've had it reviewed, it may change when they get to YouTube. So I just want to put that out there just in case it sounds a little bit different than what the title actually represents. I don't want to put no type of misrepresentation, but I go a bit further in my lives, and I tend to kind of give more in my lives than that to which I talk about and stuff like that. So I just want to make that clear up front and different things, so that way everybody can be okay and be on the same page and be like, okay, that makes sense. All right. So I just want to put that out there. But welcome. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. It's a beautiful day. You're my neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? Because that's how I feel. I really do feel amazing, moving in the essence of the present moment, being able to stop, pause, observe. It's a real deal Holyfield to have these moments and see them grow more often than I've ever seen before in my previous life. And what I mean about that, in my previous life, like a few months ago, where I wasn't really doing it at all. And I say a few months ago, I want to say prior to me leaving my job and different things of that nature, where I was so capacitated that I wasn't, I didn't think about it because I had so much going on. And I was so engrossed into the essence of survival. So I didn't think about it. And now I have a comparison base, and I'm able to see myself, take these pauses and regroup and rethink and all of these different things, and not allow, certain things to, catch me on the edge or the ledge. So I'm really grateful about that. And the present moment really does allow you to stay in that space, because if you are having, an awesome moment on your own contingency of choice, you're not going to want anybody to interfere with how you're choosing to be, especially if they're choosing a totally different, choice of reality that could alter your state of being. So that's why it's so important, in my most humblest of opinion, to stay in the present moment. So when you do get these alternatives that comes in the midst of your being by people, places, persons, things, situations, and situationships, and different things of that nature, your present moment is what is solidifying where your state is currently at. And if your state is currently like, I was fine until you came, you know what I'm saying? We said I was doing all right until you came. So if you're saying that, or if you have said that, and these are very much keynote things that, we've said it, but we never made a pause. We've experienced it, but we never made a pause as a result of recognizing it, but we kind of went on ahead and fell, prey to their chosen reality, right? Instead of maintaining our own, all right? So with that being said, let me go ahead and get into the disclaimers. And, like I said, this is a free-for-all open forum for everyday experiences. I'm going to bring some things that are occurring in current events today that captures my attention. And I'm going to give my perspective about it. But I want to put out my disclaimers. And once again, I'm not here to tell anybody what to do or how to be. I'm only here to express how I understand my now moment, because I do realize that you are capable of choosing how you want to experience and express your relative reality, what you make relative to you. This is your story. And so therefore, I'm not here to tell you what to do. I am only here to just, give you some information. And if it resonates and you want to, allow for that resonance to be a part of how you choose your reality, then it still ultimately is your choice, right? It's always your choice, as with everything. And any content creator, celebrity, or anybody for that matter that I speak upon on this platform, all information is heavily, heavily alleged, for I was not there to account or attest to the validity of such said information that has been placed out there for public consumption. I'm only utilizing the information for this live just as an example. But anything to what I'm talking about, but anything other than that, all that information is heavily, heavily, heavily alleged. All right. So as you guys can see, the conversation, the title for now, because this live can go any type of way, because it's an open forum, particularly how I move in terms of, questions asked and different things of that nature. But fun now, we're having a casual conversation, casual talk, and we're going to talk about energetic manipulation, right? Energy manipulations, which comes in all forms. And it's not, neither good or bad, but it's when do you want to allow this particular type of manipulation to alter your state of being, right? To alter your state. Because there are some manipulations that you might want to come into the equation to give you a different perspective of the reality that may put you in a better state of being, and may allow you to have a different choice of how you experience the reality, right? Certain different types of manipulations. But it's the essence of awareness is very much key and essential. And one thing I want to continuously say about anything that we do here over on this side of the channel is to understand that I speak from a space of wholeness, so that we can understand wholeness, integration, coherence, regulation, and different things of that nature with who you are, and the biology that affords you the ability to experience this reality, right? So I want to also say to welcome the YouTube family that is coming into the midst of this channel, Pi Sovereign Signature. I am so divinely grateful. And welcome to, the integration of Instagram family. You guys are, that you guys are all my day one. So I'm so very grateful for that too as well. And so thank you for the support, the continued support. As always, I will always thank you guys. But welcome to the new people that are viewing my videos on the YouTube side. I am so divinely grateful for that too as well. So welcome, welcome, welcome. And thank you also for being here. All right, so headlines. There are some things that are going on in, the news. We could pick, choose, and refuse what's going on. And, as I've said, my thing is to bring, the quantum sense of understanding into practicality, because we can sit here and we can, talk about the mechanics of what is actually taking place and taking shape and form. But if we don't understand how the actual mechanics are actually working in our physical reality, then we just constantly keep, doing the same thing over and over again and again. And we're sitting here wondering why things are not moving in a manner to which we would like for them to move, right? So there is this thing that's going on in terms of with the situation that I saw with the morality situation with Clarissa Shields and Papoose and different things of that nature, and this triangular dynamic about. And I just want to show you guys how energy actually goes. Like, it's crazy, and it's mad crazy, and it can be looked at in so many different ways, because, as I say, consciousness just love itself so much that it just has so many different aspects of how it wants to understands itself, so it can experience itself in a vast amount of ways. But there's this triangular situation that is commencing, which so in everyday reality, who ain't sleeping with somebody husband, who ain't sleeping with somebody man. I mean, this is actually going on all the time. But because these people are, have made themselves a spectacle because of their positioning in, in media, in entertainment, and, it's like now everybody is in the group chat, and, it's being placed out there for public consumption. And, and people are so invested into what is actually taking shape and form in so many different ways, when it could be so many different variations in terms of manipulation as to why this situation is actually commencing in the way that it does. And when you start seeing different types of patterns and different things of that nature, it really does show that beings are only going to understand what could potentially be the case based off of where they are at in terms of their own limited self in their reality. And a lot of people really do think that, this is a triangle situation, that they're in a full-fledged relationship, that, that it is what it is, it's going down what it's going down, and it's doing what it's doing. And it could be very much that situation. Yeah, they could be in a relationship and everything like that. But my thing of it is that, everybody, the reason why so many people are invested is because of where they are at in their perception of reality, and with these limited experiences and different things of that nature. And so I decided to give my take on what I perceive, and I could be completely wrong. And I just want to make sure that I place that out there, because like I said, in different levels of consciousness, it could ride any type of way perception can perceive itself to be. It only is going to be what it is for the two people that are actually involved, the three people that are actually involved, the four people that are, whoever the dynamic is. That perception is only what really truly matters. Okay. The outside perception is just going to be based off of how you see yourself, and then what you agree on, in terms of if you really buy into the collective mind, the collective consciousness, like, how anything, if you are in agreement with, the illusion of separation, or, if you're in agreement on the collective scale. So if you're in agreement with certain things on the collective scale and how the collective masses understand something, even though it's not your experience, you'll be in that pod. And then also based on how you've been raised and, what you have internalized and picked up along the way in your regimen of your life is going to also decide how you interpret this this whole public display of reckoning that is commencing, right? So, this person, they have, placed themselves out there for public speculation. And so it's going in a manner to which, you have this person that is actually in an extramarital affair, and they are doing what they're doing. And, everybody is in a muck about something that, doesn't put food on their table. And, and you wonder why, how is it that so many people are actually invested in it? Well, for people such as content creators and different things of that nature, of course, they're going to, run this as much as they possibly can, because it generates a revenue. Okay. So as long as, these beings are being in this, and choosing to be in this way, and it causes chaos and confusion that people are, invested into because of how their nervous system is regulated in survival, and, how they're cultivated in survival. This is a manipulation tactic, because granted, there are some beings such as myself that can see the dynamic for what it's actually obviously moving for. And because, beings are invested in it in the manner to which it is, they're utilizing the energetic manipulation. They're utilizing the energy for what it is that they want to utilize the energy for. Because you got to ask yourself, what is it in this? What is it that this? Because these are things that happen every single day in the common Jane, John, Billy, Bob, Thornton, and everybody else. It's just, adulterous affairs, and all of these things are constant. It's not like this is some new revelation, but because, this has been placed out there as a spectacle, it's moving in a direction to which it is. So the energetic manipulation, what I see is happening is that, yes, there's a dynamic that is congruing and it's going on. And you can clearly see that, in my most humblest of opinion, that, this is just for something that is basically trying to maintain legitimacy in the algorithm, to maintain relevancy. And even, if you are a person that already know what time it is in your dynamic, because remember, we are not privileged to the real group chat. We are privileged to the orchestrated group chat that has been placed out there for public consumption. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's the real group chat. We are just thinking that that's the real group chat based off of what has been placed out there for public consumption. That doesn't necessarily mean that it is the official group chat. You understand what I'm saying? But it's energetic manipulation. Okay? Energetic manipulation, because only the people that are within the triangle actually know what is being, actually know the truth of the dynamic that is being done. So one may say, well, she went on social media and said what she said. She told what she said, and I believe what she said. And you have the right to believe what the person say, but you still don't know what the intention of why that person said what they said, because first of all, you're not in their circle. That's number one. You're not the person. And secondly, you're not in their circle. Hell, you're not even in the family. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you're not in the proximity. So you're just going based off of what is, what you're perceiving, based off of how you understand your now moment, and what you have also adopted and incorporated as a collective mind sense of understanding in the group essence, right? What is morally correct? What is this and what is that? And you're not going to stand on your own 2 feet and say, well, she can do what she want to do. It's neither here nor there. I don't believe a person could be married. One might not say, a person could be married and still do what they want to do, which by right, that is actually true, right? But a person is not going to say that, because the belief system says that, if you're married, you're off record, you're off limit. But when you have an expanded awareness, you know that is only true for those who continue to make it true. You understand what I'm saying? Just because, And it's legally bounded in the reality that created, but only through legality, not through consciousness. Okay, so the legality part of it within the dominion that the experience was created in, yeah, the legal part of it in a more tangible sense of understanding makes it more correct. But as far as energy itself, nah, you can't hold energy down like that. You know what I'm saying? It ain't gonna go down like that. You know what I'm saying? A person's still gonna do whatever they want to do. So energetic manipulation commences in all forums depending on how you are choosing to look at it. And a lot of people that are in the big group chat is, it's manipulated energy because a lot of the information in terms of how they're internalizing it is from a fixed perception, based off of their nervous system, their own growing in terms of what they've experienced and what they have collectively chosen to adopt within their repertoire, because of how the collective mind understands it through religion, through social, social structure and concepts and different things of that nature that authorize what is legitimate and what is not legitimate, what is morally sound and what is not morally sound. And so that is what the construct of the limited perspective of being offers in that regard, so that you can have that limited experience of that particular type of reality. Okay. And it doesn't say that it's right. It doesn't say that it's wrong. It just says that this is how you are understanding this reality based on, the A, B, C, D, and E, and whatever else. And so this is how this reality is going to project itself to you. And this is going to be your diehard version. This is what you're going to say. Okay, yeah, this is it. She dead ass wrong. He dead ass wrong. And all of this different type of stuff, right? So I'm just going to give my perception of my perspective about, this, any triangular situation, but particularly something like this that has been placed out there for public consumption, that is utilized, and knowing that there are different genres of, how can I say, ability to make money off of these particular type of publicities and different things of that nature by maintaining a sense of relevancy. A person that is, the villain, being the villain energy when deep down. And this is one of the things I want to bring something up, and I'm just touching on it a little bit because, like I say, I'm not in this world, in that particular world, that great. But it was something that Tupac had said, that, the persona that he was giving, Tupac had said the persona that he was giving wasn't necessarily that to which who he was in truth. And so, these things tell you to, these particular types of engines tell you to orchestrate these particular types of states. And, behind the scenes and different things of that nature, that's not really who you are. You know what I'm saying? Even when he tattooed Thug Life on his body, from what I understand, his concept and perception of that to which what it meant to him was totally different than that to which what it was perceived to be initially to the public eye, based off of, the persona, right? So I think, in my most humblest of opinion, I'm not doubting that the relationship is, not real. But the persona that is being placed out there is a manipulation fact. And it's like, they're riding the wave because, both of them are desperate because that's the match. That's the energetic match that they have. They both are they both have some level of desperation to be seen in the public eye in a certain way, wanting to get into entertainment in a certain way. So that's the two of them identity factor. I don't know the dynamic of Remy and Pap, and the young lady or whatever the case may be, but the conditions surrounding them, it all makes sense as to why we are experiencing manipulation in such great form. And if you're not aware of energy and how energy operate, you're just going to, from a limited mind, you're just going to understand it. Oh, it's an adulterous affair. This person is still married divorce is happening. The morality is being broken. Those are all limited constructs to keep you into the essence of the limited experience, to keep the experience intact to which you have chosen to experience. And that's what your nervous system is going to agree to. But when you have expanded the essence of awareness and you realize the bigger picture of what's going on and understand, how all of the energy somewhat aligns with everybody, be the people, the parties that are involved, it makes a little bit more sense that this is an energy ploy, to crack the ceiling, to a sense of financial ceiling. And, this is just to keep the algorithm going because, one person has a record to sell. And if I can keep my name into, the algorithm, keep my name going into the algorithm so that I can, get the momentum going for my album, you know what I'm saying? They're in hopes for that to make it relevant, but it's not. Their nervous system is not even giving them the rationale to say, well, it's not working. That old way used to work, but the dynamic of how it's actually it's not working for you. You know what I'm saying? So they're not even at an adjusted sense of regulation to understand that formula, that old formula that they're utilizing to cause chaos and confusion, to get people to come and look at their music. Well, hello there, Abdul Abdin. Salam alaikum. Gratitude for your presence. Thank you for divinely tuning into my frequency. I'm so divinely grateful. And welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here. These particular formulas that, try to have a universal appeal to get things and the momentum going, it's not working because we're operating from a different type of frequency grid. I'm grateful, Abdul. Thank you. We're operating now from a higher frequency grid, from a planetary perspective on a whole. So a lot of things that may have in a more denser sense of understanding would have stuck a little bit longer because of the density and how, densified the perception of the reality was, where it would have been a lot slower to come back up into a wave. It is now, it's not doing that now. It's breaking up and it's reorganizing itself, and it's not sticking. So it's not sticking as long as it used to stick, where you would have that longevity and be able to manipulate it longer and different things of that nature, because people are awakening. They're not as asleep as they used to be. So the perceptionary measures, even for the people that, don't really still understand what is commencing, they're not sticking to that stuff anymore. It's not as dense as it used to be, where you had a little bit of a perception of a longer period of time to kind of like make it, stick a little longer. It's not happening because times has changed, The energy has gotten a little bit, thinner. You know what I'm saying? And there's a little bit more momentum that's moving in terms of consciousness, the shift in consciousness. So, that formula that would have worked 20 years ago and had people coming in, checking in your music, that ain't the formula no more, because consciousness has shifted. The grids have shifted. The planetary shift has shifted. It has shifted, and it's not the same. And so the energy manipulation, but the person that is moving, the planet herself, or the essence of itself, has shifted, but the being is still lagging because of their nervous system. And this is why I'm always come back, and I understand the quantum side, and I'm always going to bring back the biology in terms of the biology, because this was the componency that was missing out of the whole awakening process, was the integration back into the essence of the expanded consciousness, the shift, integrating back into the biology, so that the how can I say, it could be understood, right? The energy changes could be understood, instead of just being aloof to what is actually transpiring, because your biology is not able to give you the reality to which, the energy shift is commencing. Okay. And that's the key essential thing. And this is why, on this channel, I'm always going to talk about the integration of the essence of the quantum self coming into the physical self, because we're having a physical reality, and the physical is what trumps the reality in physical form when you're ready to, bring that into the fruition. So right now you got some beings that want to have a quantum experience or a quantum leap or have a financial experience, but they're operating from an old antiquated nervous system that would be like, not in this new energy, because even if the people are not aware, it's not sticking, and it's not working, and it's not, and for those who are, actually probably still doing the same thing, that is a little bit more conscious about it, they know not to bring that essence out into the public forum, because when you get that mass amount of energy to come into the midst of what you're trying to account for in terms of shifting your reality, if you don't have those coordinates properly orchestrated, and yes, I'm speaking from a quantum sense of mind, if you don't have those coordinates properly orchestrated, it can do more damage than good, right? And so, right now, she's trying to speak into existence that she's in the algorithm like Beyonce, right? This is, and I'm hearing it. I get it, because their chemistry is off. Their chemistry is off. And what is it else that their natural chemistry is off. And the other party's chemistry, to the person that he probably still has emotional ties to, true emotional ties to, he's bothered by how, she's projecting, whether it's true or not, how she's projecting in public consumption, her leveling up. So her essence of leveling up, whether it's true or not, okay, is polar opposite to that to which this whole dynamic, this whole story, the wholeness of this story, you got one side that appears to the collective consciousness, right, that is leveling up, and then you got the other side to the collective consciousness that appears that is spiraling, okay? And so that is in essence of the energetic field of self. That is the polarized energy that allows for all things to happen at the same time, okay? Where be it, the polarity in this energy or the polarity in that energy, it's all happening at the same time. And so that dynamic and wholeness is the completion of the story, and is happening in what it's happening in, and it's being constantly manipulated. But I honestly think that, in my most humblest of opinion, that they all run a game. In my most humblest opinion. Now, how they run in the game or whatever the case may be, that's neither here nor there. But energetic manipulation is real when you understand how the energy is being manipulated from a quantum sense of understanding. And it's not to say that it's right or wrong. It doesn't get to become right or wrong until you matriculate itself down into the experiences that has created limitations for the experience to be experiencing limitation. And this is where you get the morality. This is where you get the laws of the land that say, oh, she's a married woman, he's a married man, they're committing adultery. The limitations of religion comes into the commencement of everything. And so when you matriculate it down into the practical sense of the reality, into the consciousness, the third density consciousness, or the limited experience of consciousness, that's when it starts to take shape and form, and that's when it actually matters. Now, if they were trying to appeal to a third density consciousness, because see, this is what it is. They were taking a 5D concept, because remember, I'm 5D, and I understand. This is how I know they're not integrated, because they're taking a 5D concept where someone like me would understand that dynamic, but their biology is beaconing third density, okay? And they're trying to appeal to third density, whereas our third density is of an urgency nature, and they have a quicker response, right? They'll respond to this. They'll respond to that because they're constantly busy and this and that or whatever. They're always moving off of urgency and safety and different, they're a whole nother different calibration, right? But someone in an expanded awareness would understand that dynamic without any judgment, but also know that that situation too could be judged, right? Okay. So they're expressing in an experience that where, one would not hold them accountable in that regard as harshly, because it's a more fluid experience to be in, because you understand the dynamics of how energy goes, how consciousness goes, and you understand that what they really truly only have is a legal bond. It's not, it's not what people, but in the third density consciousness, okay, yes, it is a sacred, however, they have created for that reality to be experienced and expressed in a limited aspect of self. So here it is now, they're operating from a consciousness or expanded awareness that would afford them the ability to just be, but that being don't get them doesn't get them paid in the manner to which they want to get them paid. And then you could tell they're in third density because she responds and she gets upset. Okay, she gets upset and she responds. So she's a little bit more reactionary in third density. And maybe Papoose is not as reactionary, and he's more manipulative in third density, but not as reactionary as she is because of her experience. And so therefore it's a misalignment in terms of, how the manipulation of energy is commencing right now. Totally quantified. And like I said, the manipulation is in all things. But what type of manipulation is it? You know what I'm saying? Is it going to be beneficial to the reality, or is it going to be what you perceive as detrimental to the reality in terms of who you are on a whole? You know what I'm saying? How do you let that energy come into your repertoire of being? So basically, when I see these things and different things of that nature, I have a commentary that I could give like I'm giving right now. And it will kind of give a different perspective than that to which is given. But you have to understand that many people are utilizing this particular type of stuff as content to dysregulated nervous systems that's going to respond in a way of judgment, right? And remember, the expanded consciousness is not going to be quick to judge. We're going to be like, okay, they can do whatever they want to do. That's their, that's their life. We laid back and we chill because we know in an expanded awareness that is whatever. You know what I'm saying? You pick, choose, and refuse. You know what I'm saying? But when you begin to matriculate down into a consciousness that is more limited, no, it don't operate like that. It don't operate like that. So they're trying to have a public-sized 3D experience. They're trying to have a 5D experience, quote unquote 5D experience, and in a 3D frame, in a 3D biology, and they're projecting a 3D biology, and then the person, one of them, it really is, very dense in terms of reaction, angry, that angry and densely, that densified sense of actually, perception of the reality. That's what it is. The biology hasn't caught up to the consciousness. And the integration process, nobody don't know the process of integration. Nobody don't understand the process of integration. And that's why I'm here over and over again and again saying the same thing, different day, about, different, situations and given different situations to give you guys a perception of how integration of the expanded awareness going into the body, the biology of self, changes the dynamic of how you experience. Because in this reality, such as something like this, with me stepping back into the essence of observation, I can clearly see what is transpiring based off of my buildup, right? And someone else can probably see that is not necessary. That is not necessarily in how can I say, they're on the cusp between their integration and what they perceive as fifth dimensional consciousness. They too can probably see, and they may not be fully integrated yet, but they can still see it, and may not be able to necessarily articulate it, but they can see it. But they will still give some what we perceive as leniency. It's not that we're lenient; it's just that we understand from an expanded awareness that consciousness can actually do what it wants to do. And understand that depending on how it's choosing to express itself, if that from a limited perspective, if they move into a genre of expression that give consequences to what they're doing or whatever the case may be, then that's what that experience is going to afford them if they believe in that, if they have that a part of their repertoire. Because there are beings that are doing what they're doing, and nobody knows anything about it. It is not brought to an awareness where that information can be manipulated. Because that's why one of the things that is said is not that you don't want people to know what you're doing and you're trying to keep things in secrecy and everything. Because secrecy is a word that people have kind of somewhat made like it's almost like a villain. But I'm going to give you a reason why, doing things in secrecy is why people do things in secrecy. It's to eliminate having energetic interference or manipulation, right? That's why you do things and you don't necessarily talk about it or bring people into your repertoire. Because that when you got all that energy coming in the midst of interfering and putting stuff out there, and you are not regulated, you're not grounded, you're not regulated to be able to withstand a lot of what is transpiring. So that's why a lot of people that have, how can I say, raised their calibration of self, and they need social media for businesses or whatever, they hire people to run their accounts, and they don't have any part of it. Or they don't read the comments or whatever the case may be, because they understand that a dysregulated nervous system is going to manipulate that energy. And if they read that comment and they're on the cusp and they get triggered, it can matriculate in terms of how their projected reality could possibly be. So that's the word secrecy, right? It's not to say that it's because, I got a secret I don't want to tell you. It's because if you're operating from a dysregulated nervous system, you can manipulate my plans. Your energy can manipulate my plans. Okay? You being in my space can manipulate my plans. You speaking, coming into the midst, you can manipulate my plans. Right? And if I'm not grounded, or if I'm not strong enough to understand the dynamic of what is actually happening from an energetic perspective, and I'm triggered on any measure by what you say, by what you do, by who you talk to. All right, to give you an example. All right, so this thing came out where this man allegedly, heavily alleged, where, they say Papoose went on 50 Cent's, what they call it, his page. I want to show you how you can be easily manipulated, energetically manipulated. He went on his page and he screenshot a screen recorded off of his nemesis, his so-called nemesis page, seeking this person out. This person is not seeking him out, but he's seeking him out, allegedly, because this is what has been, and I say this because this is information that has been placed out there for public consumption. I don't know if it's true or not, and to be honest, I shouldn't even probably be repeating it because I'm not there, but it's been posted out there, out there for public consumption, okay, by whoever posted it out there. So nevertheless, there's a clip that's circulating around that came from, Papoose's account, where he went on 50 Cent's, not even Instagram account, but his own website page, and screen recorded a part of, what's the young lady's name, Cardi B's concert, to which Remy Ma was at Cardi B's concert, and he wrote a caption, and it was a song that one of the guest appearances in Cardi B's concert was singing, and it was a lyrics that was in there to throw out to make a subliminal at Remy Ma. So my thing of it is that if you don't, okay, so this is how I understand, the energy perspective, but I'm going to bring it down to a third dimensional concept. So the third dimensional concept is this. If you're done with a situation, right, and you're no longer wanting to be a part of that situation, why are you scouting, first of all, scouting your nemesis, right? Going on their page, right? Realizing that this person is there and then sending subliminals, okay? If you didn't care and you got a whole new relationship that you're supposed to be in and you didn't care about that person anymore, why are you scouting? Why are you looking? If it's a real relationship, like if it's a real relationship that you have left your marriage for, and this new relationship that you're in, you have left this marriage for, why are you scouting? If you're happy over here in this new relationship, okay, you wouldn't care less about what's going on with the ex or the next, right? If you are sound in the new relationship or the relationship that has been going on, consecutively for a couple of years, right? That's my first perception. So you're scouting. So this is why I feel like they're just looking for some sense of relevancy, okay? Right? So my thing is you're looking. You're scouting. Now, like I say, I don't know the particulars or whatever. I'm only going by what has been placed out there for public consumption. So it's been put out there that he went on 50 Cent's page. He screen recorded a young artist out there with a rap song with a specific lyrics, and he made a caption, right? And basically they know who this caption is for, and apparently Remy Ma was at that concert because the concert was in New York, right? All right, so you sending subliminal shots out there, but my thing of it is, why? Because if you don't care and you got a whole nother female that you're dealing with for a couple of years, allegedly, why do you even care? And you're hearing that this person is dealing with somebody else. Why do you even care? Right? Why do you even care? Okay. All right. That's my perception. Number one. Number two. That's I'm just bringing it down to the third density sense of understanding. Okay. Number two is, if your relationship, the dynamic of the triangle, right? So that's still, to me, that still shows that you still care about what's going on over there. Your nervous system is still entangled to that particular type of reality. Okay, you're doing one thing, but your biology is accounting and attuned to a whole nother different situation, right? Energetically, right? The emotional value is got you emotionally charged into this particular density, because you obviously can't let go if you got to send shots and subliminals. Now, if I was, the side chick, I would be looking at that side eye, right? Like, why you got to go on a homeboy page, where your nemesis page, screenshot to send a subliminal message, when in real life you could probably just pick up the phone if you ain't blocked or whatever the case may be, because you still share a child, and make a phone call or whatever. You got to send subliminals, right? You got to send subliminals. All right, that's number one. Number two, right? Your body language that you now impose in the collective group chat, right, shows that you not with the person that you say that you are choosing to be with. Your whole entire body language, to the point where this girl got to defend the relationship in her head to the best of her ability. And that's where another part of the aspect is. That's why you don't get into no long diatribe with a person that realizes that the relationship is whatever it is, they're going to defend that relationship. They're going to defend it. It doesn't make any sense for you going and trying to have an explanation or have a conversation with this person, because their nervous system is going to defend that relationship, point blank and period. Will call you every name in the book with the child of God, because in their mind, that is their chosen reality that they have chosen to be in. And whatever signs that we're seeing, they can still probably see the same signs. And they don't feel safe in an alternate reality. For whatever the reasons, they don't feel safe. And until that dynamic change, it is what it is until it's not. Okay? So the chemistry between those two ain't what it's supposed to be, if, because you can see the difference between the two chemistries when that person was with the so-called ex-wife, soon to be ex-wife, and then now with the chemistry between the new relationship, supposedly. Okay. So all of this is showing itself from third dimensional level of consciousness that this ain't what it is. You know what I'm saying? Not even the new relationship don't even look like they happy. You know what I'm saying? And then you sending where you really want to be, you're mad, and you sending subliminal shots. And if I was the old girl, like, I would be looking at you side eye, like, what if you with me, why you sending subliminals through messages through a song on a stage? I mean, do you know the chain reaction to that you gotta go to your nemesis 50 Cent? Not even you not even following you following the nigga on all platforms, even the one that he created with his own .com. You all the way over on .com over there, screen recording, and then sending shots out to your soon to be ex-wife. But my thing of it is, it ain't over until the fat lady sings. And the fat lady name is Miss Dissolution of Dissolvement of Marriage. And, that ain't been in the court, from what I understand, for quite some time. And until the fat lady sings and she walks off the stage, drops the mic and walk off stage, that can rearrange in any type of way. It can organize itself in any type of way. It ain't over until it is over. Okay? And this is where, constant manipulation of energy, mixed signals can always commit. And a lot of times it has a lot to do with the interpretation of, this whole dynamic, and then now the nervous system and how the nervous system is going to choose to respond. But I just wanted to kind of somewhat put that out there because, these real life situations commences on a lot of levels. And when you try to tell somebody that this, you speaking from a more coherent place, and I talked about this the other day, when you're speaking from a more coherent place, because look at how many people in the collective group chat is even trying to say to the person that, hey, this ain't what, on the outside looking in, this is not what you seem to be, what it seems to be. So it's one or two things. If this is a real true relationship, okay? If this really is a real true relationship, then she ain't gonna see it. They ain't gonna see it because they're completely operating from dysregulation. Okay, and they're not going to see it. And right now, if it's a real relationship, is too much that's going on in essence of dysregulation, and they're not going to see it point blank and period. Now, if there is some sense of someone that's in the midst that is open enough to hear a little bit of what someone has to say, then this is a energy ploy that still is not going to work, because the conditions of the consciousness is shifting. So a lot of stuff that used to stick back in the day because of the density factor is not going to stick. They're not going to stick with it that long. So you're using an old formula in a shifted consciousness, okay? And the energy is not going to sustain. That formula is not going to work. Okay, and so therefore that's why it's not working like how it's working. So right now, there is a press run that's going on where I think she's out there saying that, this is being, anything to maintain some relevancy, whether it's negative or positive, to get these particular types of, because remember, even though she's not getting brand deals in what we perceive as the appropriate way of getting brand deals, of what would be good brand deals or whatever the case may be. Remember, it has a polar opposite. So there are, if you can maintain relevancy, that, people are still interested in your foolishness and what you do and what you don't do. And they still clicking, even though they still calling you crazy, they still calling you stupid, they still calling you dumb. You know what I'm saying? And you're still, maintaining, relevancy. Then, because they've already made that train, then they're going to continue with that momentum. Okay? But, and notice that there's nothing talked about in terms of her boxing, which leads me to believe that this has totally turned in terms of what Pap wanted, because there's no more highlight about her boxing. Because if unless she just really doesn't want to do boxing anymore, you know what I'm saying, and really want this family life or whatever the case may be that is being sold to her, because she's, like I said, from a dysregulated nervous system. And like I say, I speak quantum physics. There's no judgment on nobody. I speak energy over here. So, it's no judgment about anybody, because me at the space that I'm in, it's neither here nor there. A person has a right to choose how they want to experience their reality, whether it's in a limited perception of reality or an expanded perception of reality. So you can experience it in contraction, or you can experience it in expansion. Okay? It is how you choose to experience it. But when you come down into the essence of how the physical plane of existence is going to tolerate it, your biology has to be receptive of that. Okay? Because there will be parasites and different things, what we call parasites. There will be parasites that comes in, and you will have leakage everywhere. And all your money and everything, it will be gone. And you will find yourself right back to where you don't want to be, if you start spiraling more and more and more and more and more. Okay? So, my highlight in reference to now manipulating the energy back into getting it back onto a coherent state, because this is where now if someone wanted to take my crazy advice, is that, if it was me and if my career was unaligned, and if I had the sense, if I had a breakthrough moment where I could change, something within me change, I would come to the public, and I would probably say, you know what, y'all was right. Listen, y'all was right. I see it now. I'm just going to focus on my boxing. The one thing that I know that I can do. Now, I can't tell nobody what to do, but if I was going to reorganize the story, reorganize the energy through a story, to shift the perspective back into something that I truly have control over, and stop giving giving control over something that I don't really understand or have control over. I'm not going to trust my energy with something. No, you know what I'm saying? Because obviously I didn't trust it. I didn't agree to something, and I'm spiraling. You know what I'm saying? But the one thing that I'm not spiraling in is something that I know that I'm good at, something that I know that I'm familiar with, something that, because, if I stayed in my lane and begin to groom myself to understand how social media operate and different things of that nature, because God knows. But see, when you can have the money and still not know what to do with it, because you're not at the capacity, because you're still bogged down with, and this is how a lot of people that get lottery money, get inheritances, get all of this money comes into their repertoire of being, and they can't keep it. They have so much leakages they cannot keep it because they're not there. So, they spend their money on other things that is not relevant to them maintaining and sustaining their reality, because they're not at the capacity to hold that particular type of light or to hold that particular type of information, because they're so bogged down into that chosen reality of survival. I got to survive this reality chosen, because this is the reality that I feel that is safe. The way that I have organized it and constructed it, it has gotten me to becoming a good accountant. It has gotten me to become a good mogul. It has gotten me to become a good this and a good that, right? So therefore, I can't let go of that or whatever. And you could still be spiraling and spiraling and spiraling. So this is why beings go into drastic means, whether they, might have to hurt you or, do all kind of crazy stuff to protect that reality, because they don't realize in an expanded way, they don't, the nervous system is going to tell you, oh, you got to do in the lower mind, the nervous system, to protect that reality. Even if you become through a millionaire through hustle and all this other kind of stuff, and something comes and try to threaten that reality, well, what do you think the lower mind is going to tell you? Oh, that person is jealous, I got to get rid of that person. And in the lower mind, what do you think that, okay, like the situation with me and my job, right? I was a threat. You know what I'm saying? People like me are a threat to a nervous system that could have all the accolades and have all the education in the world. You can have everything. You can have the money. You can have the education. You can have all of that. But if your nervous system sees something that is experiencing a higher voltage of energy, right, or its sovereign self, that nervous system is not going to feel, it's going to feel that this particular frequency of self is a threat to the reality, because the energy is so potent that it can dissolve the reality, right? Hi, nature world. Hi, beautiful. Gratitude for your presence. Thank you for divinely tuning into my frequency. I'm so divinely grateful, and welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you. So this is why a lot of people who acquire certain statuses through hustle and different things of that nature, this is why if they feel like there's somebody that's coming into the midst of it, it's trying to take them down, they're not going to have the coherency of understanding it from a regulated state. They're going to understand it from a threat state, that someone is coming in the survival state that it is, because a lot of people feel like survival is poverty. No, survival is not poverty. Survival is any reality created that is threatening, that is threatened. So if you could be a millionaire, a billionaire, trillionaire, or whatever, if you could still have some sense of tendencies of being on survival, and someone comes in and you might feel that someone is coming in to threaten that reality, and your survival self is going to say, this is threatening, mayday, this is threatening the reality, and it triggers your survival self is going to defend it. How does it know how to defend it? It's going to want to get rid of the threat. The way that it doesn't know to ascend out of the reality energetically, because it hasn't expanded its aware of consciousness, that it hasn't integrated the expanded aware of consciousness within the biology to be able to ascend, because a lot of them don't want to go through that work. So it doesn't want to ascend into more light. It doesn't want to enter the biology to have the biology regulated, so that it can just naturally just be like, oh, I'm just moving on, I'm just coming out of the, and know that you don't have to be in the midst or have to hurt anyone or have to get rid of, or they really not a threat, or whatever the case may be. But it doesn't matter how much money. Survival is not just poverty. Survival is any reality. The nervous system is in any reality that feels threatened. Any reality. And that's the misconception that many of us have about survival, is that we think that it's an impoverished, it's poor, I don't have. No, it's survive in this essence of understanding survival reality. Survival is that when your nervous system, whether you are a millionaire, billionaire, thousandaire, hundredaire, whatever the case it is, or whatever the case may be, whatever type of quality of life you perceive, if somebody come into that office and they could be as humble as pie, but it's something that's triggered in you that picked up on something that's beaconing within them, and they may not would have had to say anything at all. They could have just walked in the room. And somebody give an introduction about this person, and they may have not said a word, and then your signal coming in like they coming in to take my job, or they coming in to take my spot, or they're coming to something is stirring up. It's something about that person I don't like, or it's something that don't register with me about that person, and that person may not have done a thing to you yet, but and I'm gonna say yet, and they may not have no intentions of doing anything, but your perception of this individual walking through the door has set something off in your nervous system. Okay? And so it's on and popping now. So now you feel like you got to defend it. If you don't take them pauses and you're not integrated, because the integration now is going to say, wait a minute, ain't no threat here, because that same person that's integrated now, have that person come in and there's an introduction, and if the cellular memory that would have back in the day, a year ago, 2 years ago, would have been like, had that signal come in and they, everybody say, oh, my intuition is X, Y, and Z, in which that your somatic intuition is very on point. Yes, there has been a signal shift, but that don't mean that is bad or good. That just means that it's a whole nother signal that comes into the commencement. That don't mean that signal that you are feeling from a somatic sense of remembrance is a threat, because you have not been formally threatened, right? So what you do to regulate that, if you have been a person that get into that situation, what you would do in that situation, and you look at the dynamic, you're like, it's nothing threatening here. He's just introducing a new person. I felt that signal. I feel that thing, and my cellular memory is from the old me, when I felt that little tingle, mingle, right, would keep me constricted, right? And that's survival. But when you take the sacred pause and you come and you recognize, and you say, oh, and you recognize when your body is, now you're more attuned to your body, you're more attuned to your biology, and you're recognizing certain things. And you realize, and you're assessing, you're taking a scope and you're assessing the situation, and you realize, wait a minute, there ain't no threat really here. What am I getting all tensed up and, anxiety and, feeling, what is it really for? There's no threat here. This is when now you begin to regulate your nervous system. Okay? Because you're no longer reactionary. Even when things ain't even been really pronounced enough for you to be reactionary from. Right? Because whatever you attune yourself to be into, you will create it. Trust me. It doesn't have any choice but to create it, because that's what you're telling yourself, the other selves of you in the mass production of self. That's what you're telling the universe that you want to experience. More of the survival state. I need something to come in to constantly validate me experiencing the limited version of self, or the survival state of self, or to constantly justify my reality that I have chosen. Okay? So manipulation of energy is really real. You know what I'm saying? It happens all the time. It's just that some of us are in an aware state than others. So it makes it a little bit more easier for us to go into a sacred pause, or have more of an analytical, evaluation of the group chat, right? the social, or what's that word, the community group chat, okay, and we're not as how can I say, we're not as judgmental, because like I say, the limited side gives you judgment. You judging a person by what they're doing, what they're saying, how they're being. Because the limited experience has put that protocol into the morality of things, laws of things, and different things of that nature, so that you can experience a limited version of self that you are in agreement with this experience. But the more relaxed you in the expanded awareness, we don't judge. We just understand that we have boundaries. It's either that we are, we are aware of the reality, but we choose to experience a different reality. We are aware of the reality. We don't dismiss the reality. We don't say no to the reality. We are fully consciously aware of the reality. We just choose a different expression of reality. Okay? That's the difference. One might say, to bring it down a notch, one might say we draw boundaries, okay? We draw our line in the sand. We ain't crossing over that line. You know what I'm saying? You might want to call it boundaries. You can have whatever, you can do whatever you want to do, but I choose a different understanding, and I'm not going to cross-contaminate your energetic, the energy that you need. See, the thing of it is this. The energy that you need to sustain that survival reality it doesn't mesh with, it's vibrationally unsound to the energy that I need to sustain my reality. It's a cross contaminant. Okay? And this is where secrecy comes into commencement. It has its energetic versions of understanding. There's the lower form of secrecy, inner vibration of understanding, and then there is an expanded version of secrecy, right? And a higher version of understanding. And I don't like higher version, lower version. It's a field. It's one field. But just for the sake of understanding of how we get it, that I'm putting it into that way. Okay. So the secrecy in essence of the higher form, it's not that you don't want people to know. It's just that when people are operating from a different essence of consciousness, you can't afford until things are actually grounded and solidified into the frequency that you are creating from is grounded and solidified before you invite anyone in, because they don't mean no harm. It might look, the reality may sound like they mean you some harm based off of the words, based off of the positioning, based off of the energy, the gasoline that they're putting in their tank, okay? Based off of the energy that they're choosing to operate from, okay? But it's because you are aware of that, you have to begin to keep things to yourself until it's, founded and solid enough where you know that once that energy starts coming into the midst of it, it's grounded and it's solid enough where it doesn't affect the stability of what it is that you are creating, right? Because just like you, the grounding of you is and going into the midst of these things, when you have chosen to operate from a different expanded awareness of consciousness that require a different angle of light to operate from energetically, the grounding allows for you to be able to stabilize in that essence without having to be thrown off so drastically by other energies that may come into the midst of your being. Because remember, if you're going into any type of public forum in businesses, you're going to at some point at the beginning have to deal with a lot of different variations of people until you're able to, if you expand your business, you're able to hire people to deal with it for you. And then that kind of somewhat helps preserve you from having to, really deal with the variations of contrastial energies. Okay? Because the higher you get up, you're able to kind of, expand your parameter and your capacity. And that helps you a little bit. But there are some people that won't integrate. that awareness, and to a full capacity, and they still have some triggers, and and they still operate from a survival state. Okay, no matter what kind of money that they got. All right, and always remember that it's not about the money, because remember, survival will allow people to become billionaires, millionaires, and different things of that nature. So it's a byproduct, because if you hustle and you become, the byproduct is the money of who you are. Money, material wealth is a byproduct of you. Okay? So I just wanted to bring some sense of clarity to that and utilize real life experiences, because that's what we're dealing with, current events. And I wanted to kind of somewhat give an understanding from what we perceive as a fifth dimensional level of consciousness to that of a limited perspective of third dimensional level of consciousness, right? The two different consciousness operating in a different energetic form, right? One is operating from so much limitations, and different things of that nature, so many different manipulative factors, all in the essence of mostly dysregulation, right? And I wanted to give you a different perspective on what I think that it is. I honestly think that it's just, a ploy to maintain relevancy in the algorithm to, get financial gains. Because the true chemistry of that triangle, it doesn't match. It just doesn't match. You chasing what you don't want through subliminals, and what you say you do want, the chemistry is not there. So it doesn't match. It just doesn't match based off what has been thrown out there in the group chat. Now, and that's why I say I don't know what the behind the scenes are. You know what I'm saying? It could be entirely different. So if the behind the scenes are entirely different than that to which has been placed out there for public consumption, then it's an energetic manipulation ploy, in my most humblest of opinion, to stay relevant. It's either. It's either to stay relevant, that ain't working really. Irrelevancy is not working in the manner to which how they want it to work, right? That triangle is really, really, just really dysregulated. It's some dysfunctional stuff. You know what I'm saying? But that's not, it's not, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I'm not here to judge nobody, because I just feel like everybody has an opportunity to decide to, change, whatever they want to change. But, I would take back, instead of giving somebody the handle and I have the blade, I would flip the poles as much as I possibly can, and get my power back, and reshape myself and take that money and hire me what I need to hire to reorganize myself and focus on what it is that I want to do. You know what I'm saying? And put that energy in that, and leave whatever private. Even if, I'm gonna tell you something, I would be so G. I would leave them alone. That don't mean that you really got to leave them alone. And I would shift the whole thing into focus on what I'm really good at. And I would make apologies to those who I have offended in the industry that I'm in. You know what I'm saying? Because remember, that's the limited construct. And that's, if you want to play the game in the limited construct, then if that's the rules that you want to be paid from and move into, then, these are some of the things that you might have to do. You know what I'm saying? So whatever I need to do to shift and reorganize the energy and just allow for it to bring some sense of settlement. If that's in you, you know what I'm saying? But other than that, I just wanted to bring some compilation to how energetic manipulation actually commences in this one particular situation, and it can look completely different in another situation too. But I also wanted to show the coherent side of it and give contrast to what it would look like from a coherency, as well as what it is actually appearing as in dysregulation, and why the nervous system is very, very, very intricate in terms of how the energy is going to be dispersed. And sometimes it just, it doesn't matter. And then a lot of times too is another thing I think I talked about too the other day. Opinions doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you we could say what we want to say. It doesn't matter if a person has made up their mind in terms of how they want to experience the reality. That's another thing. So we could be out there and we could say what we want to say, and we could put the information out there as much as we want to put it out there. But there could possibly potentially be a consequence if you're expecting something. The thing about it is that, when you be a certain way, you can't have expectations. You know what I'm saying? You just can't have expectations, in a construct that has been created to operate, or a system that's been designed to operate a certain way. But as I said, it's all about the experience and how one is choosing to understand and experience their experience. And when they're ready to, let go of all of that, what holds them into that experience, some type of breakthrough has to commence, or whatever the case may be. Something tragic had to happen. It's something that I can't remember what it was called. But I can't remember what it's called, but I know it was something that was that happens when a person is in a twin flame situation. It was something similar where the runner chaser type situation, and the person has to go through some type of breakthrough, like some type of emotional breakthrough, in order for a major shift to take place. So there are so many different things that can commence to create a dynamic, to create a change. But I'm just, wanting that, one thing I want to say before I go, that I'm glad that it came to mind. I will say that this whole disruptional thing has brought attention to, how can I say, women's boxing. Okay. And the reason why I say that is because I wasn't a fan of women's boxing. I mean, I knew of Layla Ali. As being, Muhammad Ali's daughter. But outside of that, I didn't know any other female boxer. Okay. Now I will say this whole dynamic of, this young lady being in this love triangle or whatever, has really, shedded light. But it also has also brought a lot of attention to women boxing. You know what I'm saying? And that's one of the things that I would love for that to kind of be the conditionings for that to change. Because I do remember my initial take when I first seen her. She tried to bring hype to the experience. She felt that in order for, them to get on the map, and for women boxing to start generating the revenue that they deserve to also be getting, that, there had to be some type of hype and influence, and, a lot of entertainment coming into the arena for it to be more exciting. And I got the concept of what they were initially trying to do. But somewhere along in the midst of all of that, some got lost in the sauce. And some got lost in the sauce. And I just hope that, it can get back on track. But I saw what was trying to be done initially. But then in the end, right now it's chaos and confusion in a whole nother dynamic than that to which, her skill set is elite in. You know what I'm saying? But like I say, we don't know the particulars. If she want to do boxing again, if she wants to, we don't know. We don't know what it is. We don't know, what she wants to do. But her personal life and different things of that nature have been placed out there on Front Street for public consumption. And I don't know. I really hope that that's just all for, just staying relevant in the algorithm. You know what I'm saying? I just really do hope that that's all what that's for. But if it's not, it's her business. You know what I'm saying? It's her business to do whatever she wants to do with herself. She has to see herself for what she wants to do for herself. But I do wish her the best, and I wish everybody involved the best. No judgment over here, though, because to judge, anybody is to judge myself, and I get that part. But I do understand that judgment exists, and so for where judgment does reside, I respect the fact of it. All right. So with that being said, I hope that you guys had some sense of clarity in everyday experiences that I'm bringing forth. That is, in a sense, of current events, bringing some clarity to it. And for those of you guys who are watching the replay of this live from Instagram on YouTube, please drop a like and comment in the comment section of what you understood, overstood, or may have needed to be clarified. And, and hopefully we can get it going and do a video about it or whatever the case may be. But definitely like, subscribe, leave a comment. And also, if you feel that this video is of some relevance to those that it resonate with, because as I say, they at least have to be open in order to have some essence of, wanting to even see something like this. Please do not hesitate to share the video to others. But other than that, I am so divinely grateful. Thank you for spending this time with me. It is amazing, and I'm so grateful to be here. And I will see you guys on the next go around. Once again, thank you, and have a great remainder of your day. Talk to you guys later.